Okay, well, let's get started. As everyone's aware, we are going to be recording this website. Thank you all for coming. My name is Sarah Jane, SJ, everyone calls me. I work with the Town Team Movement and Act Local. I'm based here regionally in Kalgoorlie, Boulder. Just like to start with an acknowledgement of country. So we acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and more than 60,000 years of history, culture, community and connection to country. We also acknowledge the traditional custodians of the various lands from which you are all joining us from today and First Nations people here with us. And we pay our respects to the elders past and present and celebrate the diversity of Aboriginal peoples and their diversity of Aboriginal peoples and their ongoing culture and connection to country. So, who am I and what is this workshop about? So, Act Local is part of the Town Team Movement. It is a program that's rolling out in the Wheatbelt, Pilbara and Goldfields region, but also spreading across the state. And it is about encouraging people to be more involved in the places they live and be active in our respective communities. So my name's SJ. I work with Act Local. I'm also an independent artist and creative producer, and I work with another team, Euphorium, in the spaces of transition, community, creativity, and culture, which basically means I get out in our community a lot. It also means that I have done a lot of applications, submissions, sponsorship proposals, and job applications, which require resumes and CVs, not just for me, but whichever organisation I'm applying on behalf of. So we will get into that too. I would like to invite everyone who is joining us today to please comment whereabouts you're from, and please add in the comments if there's any particular jobs you are hoping to pursue or any career spaces you're looking to branch out into, and we can reference back to that a little bit later on. Okay, so we're about to slide 5 now, the next slide. So this workshop is not about telling you to do this and this and this or do that. This is about how you can craft a strategy. So a strategy for your personal goals. So while the strategy tools are the same for everyone, how you choose to use them that best suits you is going to be unique to you. And we'll invite any questions as we go as well, and I'll get to them. We'll also look at some deep diving and reframing things that highlight the real value and draw attention to the invisible work that is what employers will take notice of. So you are likely doing awesome things in your community already, but possibly you are overlooking the full value because it's just part of what you're used to doing. And there might be some things that are already right on the periphery of your life and community that would be great opportunities. You just haven't recognised them yet. So, or you don't realize how relevant they are to an employer that will set you apart. And we'll also, towards the end here, we'll be covering how AI is your friend and can actually help you do some of the heavy lifting with your resume. And it's all about the prompts and reframes. So we'll get to that as well. So you'll find many people who volunteer don't lack skills. They just lack the language to describe the skills they already have or understand how much is relevant. So yeah, so everybody's happy with that. We'll move on to the next bit. So, as I mentioned, I wear a lot of different hats and roles, and often what makes me so good at one role is because of the skills, knowledge, and networks and connections and relationships I have in that one role actually are transferable to other roles that I have. And some of those connections aren't very visible, aren't very obvious, and that's the same with some of the volunteering opportunities out there and how relevant they are to employment. So we're going to be, we know volunteering is very good for our mental health. We know volunteering is a good social connection. It's fun and gives us a sense of purpose, but it can also be a very strategic tool in building transferable skills and getting experience in an area or sector and widening your circle of connection that can help you with finding employment or changing a career. Many community groups are very keen for new people as well. So it's a really easy win to get that new experience or get those new skills because very few volunteer places are in the habit of turning down new volunteers. So we'll break down some of the different kinds of volunteering and then we can dig a bit deeper into the different opportunities that are out there for different jobs. Cool. I'm just reading some of the comments there. Excellent. Thank you. That is a really good comment. So as I said, this workshop is not going to tell you what to do. It's about working out what the strategy is. So starting with that, there are different types of volunteering you can get into, and it's important because Each of us have, our lives are different. We have different life commitments. We have different personal preferences. You might be a night owl. You might be an early bird. You might be a people person, or you might be detail orientated. So this strategy is not about forcing you to do something that doesn't suit your goals, your passions, or your current life. It's about finding something that's actually going to align with all of that. It's not about just saying, so you can put I volunteer on my resume, because that statement doesn't have a lot of value. You're actually leaving out a lot of the value of what you do. So we'll talk about how to do that later. We'll get back onto the micro, short-term, long-term, and one-off. So volunteering or active citizenship works best when it fits with your interests, your goals and your passions, and is not overly difficult to make a part of your life. So volunteering can be something as simple as helping a mate move house. We've all had a friend we've had to help them move house. If you were to put that on a resume, you could describe it as applied transport logistics and coordination skills to support a successful residential relocation, including route planning, load management, scheduling, and team collaboration. Now, all of that is true. You did help a mate move house, but you actually you utilized all those particular skills and experience. It might be something more involved, your volunteering choice, by coaching a junior sport for a season. And in that respect, your resume would be experienced in youth development, team leadership, supporting young participants to build skills, confidence, and achieve shared goals within a structured environment. One of the things to remember is don't ever assume the employer knows how detailed your life experience is or how many transferable skills are in a role that you're doing. So the main types of volunteering, we've got them on the screen, is micro volunteering is often tiny, low commitment, and flexible. They are short tasks that be done as a one-off or regular and often take minutes, not hours. It's perfect for people who are dipping a toe into volunteering, or you're just trying to see if this is the right fit for you. We have short-term and episodic, which is short bursts, occasional or small timeline. They can be irregular participation as well. They might be monthly, quarterly, or whenever something is happening. So they're often flexible, but there's a little bit more commitment than just being micro volunteering. We have ongoing long-term volunteering, which is regular, structured, and usually a high commitment. And these roles usually involve a consistent schedule. So they're weekly, fortnightly, or monthly, and with more responsibility and training and potentially taking on an official role or title. And then we have one-off for small or large-scale events, and that's pretty self-explanatory. Oh, so I'm a big believer in learning through play. So we're going to have a quick little game for everybody here. I'm just going to put up the slide here where we've got a couple of actions. I'm going to give you a couple of options, and we're going to decide whether they're micro, short-term, long-term, or one-off. We'll point out most of these will be more than one of those answers. So just go with the one that you feel more comfortable with, and we'll see how this goes. If I'll just give everyone a moment just to have a look at those. So when I give you a suggestion, touch your nose if you think it's micro, hold up your right hand if you think it's a short-term commitment, left hand for long-term, and just hold your hands together if you think it's a one-off. Bear in mind, some of them might be more than one. So if you were someone who was basically holding a stop sign or the slow down bat at a community event and organising traffic, would that be a micro, short-term, long-term, or one-off? Now, expanding on that role, people might think it's just someone who stands there with a baton. That's actually developing risk management, situational awareness, communication, concentration, and public safety compliance. Now, this, depending on the role you're doing, this is often could be considered short-term or as a one-off because it's that kind of event. Okay, if you were writing the social media post for a local group or club, would you consider that micro, short-term, long-term, or one-off? Okay, I think this one depends on your commitment. People basically think it might be just Facebook, but being the volunteer who does that, you're actually developing marketing, copywriting, audience engagement, digital literacy, and brand awareness. So you're getting a lot of skills from, by just doing some micro short-term volunteering there. Next one is wardrobe coordinator at a local theatre, where that's the person who looks after the costumes. So this one can be a couple of things. It could be long-term or it could be one-off, depending on whether you're doing it just for a show or for the whole year. People might think that the wardrobe coordinator is just about sewing clothes and organising them. But on a resume, you would actually put that down as asset management, inventory control, scheduling, maintenance planning, attention to detail, and budgeting. So, is everyone here getting an idea how sometimes with these particular roles that people just they pigeonhole them into a small description, are actually quite involved and have a lot of employable transferable skills. The next one is being the secretary of a small volunteer group. That one is usually a more long-term role, but it can be something that you do short-term if you're just doing it for a season. That one is more about taking note. People think it's just taking notes, but as a secretary, you're involved in governance, meeting administration, records management, stakeholder communication, policy compliance, and organisational skills, organisational leadership as well. And that also leads into taking a role serving on a board or a committee. So these ones are more long term. They do have a bit more of a role. But if you find a lot of the smaller community groups, they don't have a lot of people queuing up to take on these particular roles, but they are a great stepping stone into literally gaining board level experience. You basically get practical leadership and governance experience, which is very comparable to responsibilities found in management and executive level positions, which makes them very overlooked pathway for, pardon me, for getting involved in that. Also, it's usually quite easy to get on the board for some of the smaller organisations because they do sometimes struggle to attract and retain people. But this also sets you up for experience if you're wanting to actually escalate that then to being on an advisory board or consultancy board for local governments that have quite a few of them, museums, and quite a lot of state institutions. And then all of a sudden you're in the bigger leagues of those particular roles, and it's an incredible network experience as well once you're in those particular roles. Okay, so we're moving on. Has anyone got any other questions on any of that so far?
No, but I just love, how you gave different perception to various roles. Because sometimes we just think, oh, it's just volunteering, just doing this one. But really, that's so much more and depends how you name it and how you present it. It feels like different, value.
Thanks very much, Pat. And that's exactly what this is about. It's not about telling you to go do this role. It's about how you can look at the opportunities that are in your community already and make the most of them and actually translate them specifically with the language and the reframing, because all these volunteer roles are quite skillful and they're a really great way to get that experience and connection. Okay, so the next thing we're going to move on to is volunteering exists across all sectors and interests and industries. So we're going to work through a list, and I'm going to ask everyone here to a brainstorm a couple of these and see what's available in your community that you recognise already. So basically, we're going to go up to the next slide. So yeah, here are the major volunteering sectors. It's not everything, but when we talk about the first one, community and human services, so that's community support, health and well-being, anything involving with children, youth or family, humanitarian relief, faith-based volunteering or advocacy. Can anyone please add in the comments if you can think of any examples of any community groups or organisations in your own towns that might come under community and human services? I'll put in one. It's cool. And it's okay if you can't think of one for everything. Moving on to the next one, when we've got, community services can be anything from soup kitchens. Oh, that's all right, Lena. We'll do our best for you here. And also, if you have a bit of trouble, we will be putting this recording online as well, so you won't miss anything that way. The next sector for volunteering is environment, animals, and conservation. If anyone in the comments want to think of anywhere they've got in their organisation, see if here in the Goldfields we actually have Native Animal Care Group. And this particular sector can be anything from, you could be involved in helping contribute to animal, bird and plant surveys. It could be tree planting. It could be animal care itself. And there's a lot of different skills you can get there and also expand your networks. For the sector of arts, culture and events. So this could be anything from performances, museums, festivals, Yeah, excellent, guys. Thank you for those comments. So you'll find that all of these groups generally exist in your communities already, and then we start thinking about what specific skills you can get there that are transferable. Um, we're on to arts, culture, event, sports, recreation, and lifestyle generally speaks for itself. Thank you, Lena, for artesian markets. Yeah, that's definitely under that category as well. Um, Fabulous. Thank you. This is good. We're all starting to get a lot of comments now. And please read everyone else's comments because it helps broaden your experiences as well. We then have education, mentoring, and skills development. So this one can even be sometimes you can donate skills that you have got to expand your experience as well. So someone who might be a hobby photographer might be able to donate their skills to an organisational group, and then they're actually expanding their own reach. I won't use the word exposure. We hate that word. But there's ways of utilising skills you already have or might be a hobby and getting more experience to fill out that portfolio. We then have leadership, governance, and civic participation, which again is your boards, committees, town teams, community consultation. Advocacy is a big one. So volunteering is advocacy. You can be a cause that's close to your heart and helping to advocate for change with that, or supporting marches, rallies, or just flyer drops and things like that. Can be a really great way of being involved, and that can specifically expand your networks across sectors that you're trying to reach into. Active citizenship and political volunteering. So, political volunteering is a double-edged sword as far as career currency goes. I'll leave that up to the individual person. It can be a great way of being surrounded by people with like-minded views. In the employment round, it is discrimination to not hire anyone because of their political views, but with how polarizing politics can be right now, it's not always. We're focusing on things that are going to help with employment, not necessarily be a minefield. So then we're going on to professional, corporate, and digital, and emergency and response services. So places like your SES, your Fire Brigade, and your St John's disaster recovery. So these are all sectors of volunteering. And if you have a particular job or career sector you're trying to break into, have a look at these and see what ones align. And then you can start looking at the groups in your communities where you might be able to do that. Another one to bear in mind as well is remote volunteering is also an option. So a lot of roles that we do can be done remotely, and particularly if it's helping an organisation with admin, governments, emails and things like that, you might not even actually have to be in that specific community if you know someone or their passions align with you. Things can be done remotely. That also counts as well if you have any reasons that you need to be working from home more than being out in the community. You can still participate by being at home. Okay, so with your goals in mind now, we'd just like you to think about which sectors would complement or expand your experience for the jobs you're after, or even just help you give you a reason to break into these with networks. Expanding your networks. We're going to, so just basically have a think which of these sectors might relate to you. And also think about some places like the SES and St John, they will train you as well. So some of these organisations, they're already built in to have time and investment. So if there's particular skills you're looking for and you don't know where to get them, if you can find a community group that's already investing in people to do those, you can basically get some free, or you can get some subsidised training into those sort of things. Cool. All right. Just give everyone a moment to take all of that in. And now I'm going to move on to, I want to share a real world example in my life of how to reframe some of our volunteering and how that translates. Is that I have nearly 20 years experience in local theatre. Something I've always loved. I do love getting on stage. And when I let people know that I have all this theatre experience, if they're not involved in the theatre, the perception can often be, oh, isn't that cute? You like to get up and perform and dress up and play pretend. And they are 100% right. But also, there is so much more to that. So for me, being involved in theatre, I have done virtually every task imaginable that is connected to theatre. Theatres are like any other organisation. They still have to run as an organisation, as a business. There are so many different aspects to running a theatre. So some of the skills that I have been taught and upskilled with have included being taught lighting and sound design. I've learned how to do set painting, designing a set, moving of furniture is involved a lot. And then you've got the actual running of a show. So I can, people think, oh, you were the director of that show, isn't that lovely? And it's like, well, actually, I managed and wrangled 20 plus volunteer cast members who were all there donating their own time, so they didn't have to be there. Some may have had slight egos, so that all had to be managed. We had to get them all together with pardon me, the logistics behind directing and producing are all transferable skills. So I had to basically you're coordinating everybody, you're organizing all the marketing, you're organizing the on-stage team, you're organizing the behind-the-scenes team, you're doing the front of house, you're making sure the bar has been organized, and all the logistics that go into that. And so my little theatre obsession actually gave me extremely large experience with project management and event coordination. And I 100% used to put that in the resumes. Rather than just in my free time, I like to volunteer at the local theatre. I wrote, I have 20 years experience doing this. So it's all about looking at where the real value is from an employment type of thing. And if you're on a committee, then you've got all those regular other skills as the admin, accounting, and basic business operations too. So, yeah, that's just one real life example. I hope that's starting to get people thinking a little bit more. You may find you were already um, volunteering somewhere where you go, oh, I haven't thought of framing those skills like that. So, hopefully that's coming across. It's okay if it's not, because we've still got a little bit more to go. Before we get into our next little brainstorm, I'd like to talk about complementary jobs. So, as an artist growing up, I got told constantly I needed a backup job. What most people don't talk about is complementary jobs. And they are jobs that might not be in your specific goal, but actually help you acquire a lot of skills and experience that will help that though. So a job example of that is, say, a visual artist. Their complementary job might be to manage an art gallery. So that art gallery may never ever exhibit any of their works, but what it does get them running that gallery is they get a huge list of contacts in the industry. They get to learn the industry. They get to understand how it works, and they get to see all the other different opportunities out there that they possibly can apply for. So that's just a real world example in the art world, but it transfers over to every other sector. So keep in mind, if you can't think of any volunteering opportunities that specifically align with the job you're after or the career you want to change into, think about what might be complementary. So we're going to do a little brainstorm here. I'm going to ask people in the comments to add any skills they think, if you were now to, with everything we've covered, to think about if you were a volunteer tour guide at the local visitor centre, what kind of skills would that involve or would you acquire? So for example, they would have intimate local knowledge. If anyone else can think of anything, just pop them down in the comments. I'll give you a moment. And I'm happy to lead a bit more too. So other things, a tour guide, they would be good at public speaking. Yes, absolutely. Talking to people in customer service, 100%. Most tour guides would need good time management and people wrangling skills. Other things, I need to change my page. They can have cultural awareness. Yep, passion for place, local customer, comic relief. Absolutely. A good tour guide is someone who knows how to relate to people. They have professional communication and, there's a lot involved in radio host. Yes, thank you. So as you start thinking about it, you're like, oh, hang on, there is a lot of transferable skills here that I need to spell out to the employer. And if it's something that aligns with your passion, then it's probably quite easy to reach out to your local visitor centre and ask what opportunities they have there. A sporting club has even more, because if you think about it, the sporting club off season and on season, some of the jobs that are there you can have from a groundskeeper. So if anyone would like to brainstorm any skills you would get from being a groundskeeper, even just in the canteen or on the gate, canteen people, food and health handling, safety. You probably the club can probably help you get some of your certificates that you would need without you having to miss, again, subsidized. Um, there is even the people who are, keeping track of the scoreboard, stocking the fridges. There's all the admin roles. And yeah, to keep a sporting club going with its football, netball, hockey, or anything in between, there's a whole range. And they go from the whole gauntlet of micro, short term, long term, and one off if it's just for the season. Some other ideas, if you're, yes, inventory management, 100%. So now you're starting to get these ideas. So if you're caring for wildlife or you're a home care service person, what are some of the skills? I mean, it looks very cute to look after a kangaroo, baby kangaroo, but there is very specific skill set there. If you're here in Kalgoorlie, the native animal place will actually train you up. But if I'll give everyone a couple of moments to think about some of the skills, transferable employment skills, if you have experience caring for wildlife. Some of that would be attention to detail. There might be a very specific treatment plan for that animal. It could be very time sensitive, so you could have a time sensitive awareness. And if anyone has ever been working in an environment where you have people who have no sensitivity to time, you can understand that can be quite challenging. So saying that you have a time sensitive awareness can be quite desirable to an employer as well. And yep, calm under pressure, absolutely. Thanks, Jess. Give you another moment to think. And another one I've thrown on here is the Historical Society. Almost every town will have a historical society and all right, I'm getting my pages mixed up. Almost every town has a historical society, and that kind of work is very much, again, local knowledge, which can be very useful in some places. Yes, document management and preservation, 100%. And quite a lot of historical societies now are moving into being able to digitize whole warehouse or a basement full of documents and files. And again, as a volunteer organisation, they're not knocking people back. So if there's any experience you want, or you want to get a lot of knowledge, local knowledge that might help you with a role, the Historical Society would be a good one for that as well. Cool. Okay, let's have a quick look here. Right, so just to put it out there to everyone now, is this sparking any ideas in people's minds with what's happening locally in your community? Yeah, it's all right. No one has to speak loudly. It's all good. I'm just giving everybody the opportunity and also the time to just let it all sink in. We've thrown a lot of information at you, just ready now. Okay, so now we're going to move on to one of our last slides, because the other thing about volunteering is not just experience, it's not just getting new skills, but volunteering can actually help you with networking, and networking can be incredibly important for getting a job and just getting. Sorry, I'll start again. Thank you, everybody. Networking can be very important with getting your foot in the door. Networking can almost give you a pre-approved word of mouth endorsement. And some of the things that a volunteering can help with is volunteering increases your visibility to people who are making the higher decisions. If you are out there tree planting, if you are out there contributing visibly to any particular community or rocking up to any particular events and helping out, people are going to see you. And even if you're doing some of the volunteering that's not so visible, everyone within that club will see you. And most of those people in that club will have employment, or they will have someone that they know who is employed somewhere. So that's how those things trickle on. You get to build genuine relationships with people, so it's not just a cold introduction. So volunteering creates a natural low pressure relationships. You can bond naturally over your mutual likes. There's no barriers there. So instead of a and if you're not if networking doesn't come to you naturally, if being in a room full of strangers and being told to go make friends and have conversation is your nightmare, volunteering is a wonderful way to do it because you can basically concentrate on what you're there for, the special interest, and you'll find the conversations will happen more naturally. Um, so instead of network marketing, your people can see you in action, which builds trust faster than anything you can put on a CV. These relationships often lead to job referrals. You can then use people you know in volunteering groups as reference opportunities, and it opens you up to more conversations oh, I know someone who is hiring. So that's an important thing as well. Number three, it shows employers your worth ethic before you even walk into an interview. If you're someone who's seen volunteering, they know you're going to rock up. They know you're someone who gets things done, and you know that you are someone who cares about the outcome. So volunteering is basically a live audition for your soft skills. So that is teamwork, communication, reliability, initiative, and professionalism. A volunteer supervisor can become a powerful referee who speaks directly to these particular behaviours without you even having to try and sell yourself. And specific volunteer roles connect you with specific industries. For example, if it's a sports club, that's going to connect you to local businesses, tradies, hospitality owners. Your volunteering role might even be in sourcing sponsorship, which is going to put you in direct contact with these people and also show how you know how to put together a proposal and broker a deal. Animal rescue gets you in touch with vets, ranger services, and environmental networks. Very handy if that's the sector you're trying to be involved in. Arts and events is producers, councils, tourism, and media. Youth programs, education, social services, community development, and being involved in festivals, it shows that you can gets you in touch with logistic companies, sound and lighting techs, venue managers, and everything that's required to put on that festival is generally someone you're going to have to be talking to. So volunteering becomes a direct pipeline to employers in the sector that you're aiming for. So all you really need to do is work out, where am I trying to go? What sector am I trying to break into? And then go back to, where is there volunteering opportunities there that's going to help me with that goal? Excellent. Okay, now on to one of the last ones, and then we'll open up the conversation for everybody. AI, can I get an indication in the comments who uses AI? Not at all, a lot, maybe a little. And that could be things like ChatGPT, Gemini. There's a heap others out there that I'm not as familiar with. But if I can get an indication of where people are at with AI use in their lives. Yeah, so we've got people across the spectrum there. I will be the first to say I am a bit of a tech dinosaur. The reason I'm finding that ChatGPT and Gemini is helping me is I will literally ask it what it can help me with sometimes, and that gives me the particular prompt. So if you're not sure how to use it, you can actually even ask the AI of your choice how it can best use you, and it will give you some options. The reason I'm bringing it up for this particular workshop, though, is that it is your resume building friend. You can literally put in, I volunteer, or I do these particular roles. Can you please break this down into a list that would be an employer would want to look at? So if you're having trouble working out, like we've just discussed, if you're having trouble reframing some of your roles, or because you're too close to it, you can't see the value in some of those roles, just ask the ChatGPT. Now, the most important thing with AI is the prompt. So basically, it's the prompt. And the second most important thing to know about AI is, please proof whatever it gives you and double check it. It is a wonderful tool, but you cannot trust AI. So you can often find that you want to proof what it spits back out to you, because it may have gone a little too crazy when it's talked you up. And also it'll give you an opening statement, and that needs to come from you. So the way I recommend using AI, or I use ChatGPT, is regardless of if it's a job application or a grant application or a submission to something, I will load the application into ChatGPT. I will then load any relevant company or organization information into it. And then I will upload my resume. Now, my resume has a lot on it, but it's an incredibly boring line by line, everything I've ever done type resume. It's full of useful information, but no one is going to want to read it. So I upload the job requirements or the application requirements, anything about the organization or company's profile, and then I upload my resume. And then our key prompt is, as the CEO or boss of this business and using the information I have uploaded, please create a resume for me that will absolutely knock their socks off. And it will do this in less than 30 seconds for you, which will save you a good 45 minutes an hour. You then spend, highly recommend, 10 minutes going over it to make sure it is what you want it to say, and you can continue to keep prompting AI. So that I do share that because it is a huge time saver and can actually help you with your own critical thinking. When you're getting it spat back at you within 30-second lots, you can actually think of multiple prompts that are actually going to help you even more. So that does take the heavy lifting out of anything. If you have a submission, you have a job application, load all the relevant information into the AI and ask it what it comes back with, and you will literally save yourself a lot of time and headache. You can also improve the prompts by saying, letting it know what the employer is specifically looking for, what you think the company's specific alignment and mission statements are, and as I've already said, ask it to break down the skills in particular roles. So that is basically coming down to the thing. My last thing I'd like to share with you, though, specifically, is that employers don't hire tasks, they hire skills, and volunteering helps you build those skills, often without realizing it. Does anybody have any questions for me or on anything we've covered, or has it prompted anything with you?
Oh, maybe not a question, but yeah, it's really good reflection looking at volunteering, that it's not only really gaining new skills, experience, but also networking, connecting with other people. And if you are good at what you're doing, you really put effort. People who engage you to volunteer can offer you job or recommend you to others if they're looking for the employers. So really, it's so important to go out, lend a hand, help other organization, learn new skills, but also show, what you have to offer because it's your potential employer. So
Absolutely.
I'm
And
really
it's a good point.
interested.
Is it we all know, well, we all, those of us who do volunteer do it for all those the warm and fuzzy feelings and that sense of purpose. This is just a way to strategize what you would already be interested in doing and helping you achieve what you want to do. It's not about trying to force you to do anything you don't want to do. It's finding what fits with your life, whether it's micro, short, long term, or one off. Finding what interests you helps you find people who are like-minded and you have things in common with, and using all of that to help you find the work and the career that actually matches that as well, so that you're more happy, you're more involved in what you're doing, and they say if you love what you do, then you never work a day in your life. I'll also take any feedback if anyone's got any for anything we've covered off today.
Anjali, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Esther, how are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you traveling? All right?
Very good, thank you.
Sweet. I was just going to add about the AI. It sounds a little bit weird, but sometimes I get AI to write my prompt to give to AI because,
Absolutely.
yeah, especially, I mean, I absolutely detest all the advertising images people are using because it's always the same. It's a this, and that. But if I'm ever sort of like editing a photo or whatever, like for the hockey club, and I want everyone's photos to kind of be the same background, I get AI to write me the prompt of what it needs to tell AI in terms of, the DSLR settings and all that kind of stuff. So you can use that for other stuff as well. Sometimes you might not know what good prompt, not just for images, but you might not know. So you can ask AI for the prompt and then give AI the prompt that it's given you, if that makes sense. Sounds weird,
No, no,
but
absolutely, and that's the biggest resource that I've found it comes useful for. It's not a cheat sheet. That's actually how
no,
AI can be used best.
yeah.
If I'm not sure what I need to be doing, I just give it the context. I say, "This is what I'm trying to do. What would you ask you, or what
Yes.
would you tell
Yeah.
me to do?"
Yeah.
Or I just describe my situation to AI and say, this is what's going on. And then as whoever I want responding it, that's the really crucial prompt is as and is it an employer? Is it a community leader? Is it someone who works in such and such industry? What would
Yeah.
what would be your
Yeah.
questions to ask and things like that? So
Yeah, absolutely.
it's
Cool.
it is a tool. It comes in handy. Now, look, I'm happy to take any more questions. I also know we've finished a little bit early, but I believe in just sticking to the useful information and not dragging something out just to fit a time frame. But also, if anyone has any questions that occurs to you in the next couple of days or whatever, please reach out to ACT Local Contact. If it's not me directly, someone can send you through to me. And Town Team Movement is there as a resource as well. And this will all go online for people to be able to access whenever.
Brilliant.
Have I missed anything, Pat and Esther?
No, it's great. It's really appreciate you taking the time to do this. I'm sorry I was a little late. I had some family stuff, but yeah, well done, mate. And thank you, everyone. I mean, it's not my place, so yeah, great to see people online. All right, Jess, and
I'd like to thank everyone for
Lindsay.
tuning in as well. I know everybody's time is valuable, and I hope you've gotten something valuable out of this as well.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that when you volunteer, you not only contribute to your community um, and doing something good for your soul, but also learning the skills and meeting new people. So you never know what can come up of it, but also you have more things to include in your resume, and you can look differently, at actually the role you did, like as Jay mentioned, when you look at the role, SJ, maybe you can give these examples again from the beginning. They were so good, like looking, at someone who is doing traffic management or helping with events. When you name it differently, it sounds so professional and it will look amazing on your CV.
True, and it's still 100% true. It's exactly what those activities and those roles translate into when you're breaking it down into transferable skills. So that's what I find is a lot of people are possibly already doing things in their community, but they haven't thought that's how they can frame it. And an employer will absolutely read it the way you framed it. They won't go, "Oh, that's just that's just what they're describing." That they'll go, "Oh, yes, that's actually real world experience for these particular skill sets."
Yeah, I also
It's good.
think, it's very helpful, especially for immigrants when they come into Australia. Often employers looking for local experience. And this local experience is hard to gain when you're looking for jobs. So volunteering can actually give you this local experience, which will help you then with finding job. And the same, like for young people, really young people, it's so hard to sometimes gain experience, but when you volunteer, you're building these skills, you build this experience. So when you look for job and you apply for job and you put your experience, you already have something to include in your resume.
Absolutely, and there is a version of this workshop specifically designed for youth that goes into a few more details that aren't particularly relevant here. But once you start having this reframe, I think most people start seeing it everywhere, and that's why we call this a strategy, not a list of to-dos.
Like that.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'll say thank you to everybody. Really appreciate you all tuning in, and please do reach out if there's anything else that you would like to know or occurs to you later on.
And as we mentioned, the recording will be on our website, actlocal.com.au. You can also find more recorded session there around grant writing, attracting, retaining, and celebrating volunteers, getting techie. So using technology, as Jay mentioned, technology is there for us to use. So please go and use it. Just be clever how you use it. Always check it. But even with writing resume or job application, if you are not used to it, it can be, overwhelming. So if you can get some help through AI or other tools, just do it. And yeah, there is more also free resources on Act Local website. And also please follow our Facebook pages. So we have Act Local Calgary Border, Act Local Whitbelt, and Act Local Pilbara, where we share volunteering opportunities, funding opportunities, and anything really relevant to community organization, volunteer involving organization, and amazing doers. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today, and we look forward to see you again.
Wonderful. Oh, Pat, we've got Lena here who's like to speak to someone after this Zoom. Is there a way we can arrange that?
Absolutely.
Probably stay on, maybe. Yeah, is that a good idea?